So there's always someone hiding, and they're either in front of me or in TV land that has done like a Network Plus certification, or they're working in the business. And they know a thing called the 7-layer model. Okay? 7-layer model is called the OSI model. This is, wouldn't you know it, a standard. Okay? The model we're doing, our 5-layer, is just our model, our layer 5 model. We have to take out 2 of the layers, and all we are is just how everything works. And no one has ever standardized it. It's really like the way the internet is standardized. But no one's ever said, like, the internet is a 5-layer model, here are the 5 layers and what they do. But this is just how everything works on the internet. So let's do, we'll put that in parentheses, because we're going to talk about the 7-layer model for now. So in the 7-layer model, yes, we have our physical layer, we have our data link layer, we have the internet layer, and we have the transport layer. Let me make sure I get all of it in. Okay? But there's 2 layers between. One is called the session layer, and one is called the presentation layer, before you get to app layer. Okay? These are the 2 missing layers. Okay? So these are standard layers that are not actually in use. Okay? So if you have to take a Network Plus class, you're going to have to know all 7 layers. But if you're going to have to go out and do networking, there's only going to be 5. So what are these 2 layers? Well, these 2 layers are actually important. By being in use, it doesn't mean they're important. So we'll put here, they are still important functions, but there are not processes for them. Okay? If we go back to our thing here, this stuff happens automatically. In my app, when I say open connection, when I compile the app, my app will automatically communicate with the transport layer. Because of the way Windows is coded, the transport and the internet layer automatically communicate. It automatically communicates with the driver for my my Ethernet link, and automatically with the physical layer. Okay? There's automatically stuff loaded in on my computer for all, well, at least all of these. And once I install the app, I can just use those other 4 layers. They are all there. Switch is the same way. This stuff is all there. It's all working. Everything is there. But these 2 layers, the presentation and the session layer, are not on your computer. Okay? So you don't get to, for example, take your application layer data and pass it to the presentation layer, because there's not anything there. It's not there. There's no session layer either. But they are useful. Okay? I just want to note what they do. Okay? So we'll start at the bottom one, and I'll just write on here, because we're almost done anyway. The session layer manages the series of transactions. Okay? Now, a series of transactions, this is more like in database. Okay? And you all have done, like, think about if you went to Amazon.com and you fill up your shopping cart, and then you pay for all the things in your shopping cart, and now they need to record all of them as being sold. Okay? The recording of all those being sold all at once, that's a series of transactions. And so is adding to your shopping cart, right? I'm adding to my shopping cart, and Amazon needs to keep track of what's in my cart. Are we cool with this? They also need to record what was sold and actually ship it to me. These are series of transactions. There is not a process coded into Microsoft Windows to keep track of my shopping cart. There's not one coded into, well, there is one coded into Amazon's website, but where did it come from? The application developer must, we'll just put write their own code. Okay? The session layer, again, it's a series of transactions. This is kind of a big deal, keeping track of that stuff. It also has a lot to do with security, because, if someone connects in, you want to make sure you know what they're doing on your site, and so you kind of want to keep track of it. You need your code for this. So just keep it in mind when you're writing an application, that there's going to be somehow that you're going to keep track of sort of who did what and when in your application. Should we just call this happenings? On the back of the page, yeah. And just to save paper, I'll do presentation right here. The presentation layer would be a standardized display. Okay? And a standardized display would be things like a phone versus a PC. So your phone is a lot smaller of a screen. If there was such a thing as a presentation layer, you could have a web server that sent your computer the data, and your computer would automatically pick, your phone would say, I'm a phone, and I'm going to display this data in one certain way. And if you were on your PC, it would display it in a different way. You see me? It's things like resolution, what speed you have maybe. It's just standardized. Yeah, the size of a picture. It also has to do with the format. So you think about a JPEG file. You guys know there's PNG files around, right? There's also other image files around. But like JPEG and GIF, those were really the first and sort of the standard. If there was such a thing as a presentation layer, you would know, everyone would be able to use the same format of files. This is becoming more and more built in though. So now we can do a JPEG file. We can do a PNG file. They started standardizing, for example, on HTML5. You can, so we'll draw it right there. So this is about formatting and just standardizing the display. There is no process for that. You have to deal with it yourself.